We got the first game of Jae Crowder, and guys, that chirpiness, that that grit is something that I feel like the Kings needed. And obviously it's just one game, and it's obvious Julius Randle, the guy who's going to be the one to instigate it. But I think Jae Crowder tonight, he did what we said he's going to do. You know, be a corner specialist on those 3-point shot or finish inside, provide some physical toughness to this team. And I really liked what they did tonight. And I think he's going to be a guy who's going to continue to go forward, moving forward. He, especially when Trey Lyles come back, it's going to give him different looks. I was talking about this with the touchback. Go check him out. That when Trey Lyles comes back, I think it'll give him the opportunity to do some small ball looks, especially with Keegan, DeMar, Jay, and Trey on the floor, or even with Domas, Keegan, Jay, DeMar, and De'Aaron to push the ball more in transition. And De'Aaron, you know, with Jay tonight hitting the shots like he did, which they needed, and we can't expect him to be the exact guy, but he came in, got his first game, signed on Wednesday, and he hit a 3. And I feel like the way that he was playing and he fit into this lineup was sort of how they needed him to be, especially with the starting lineup being Keegan Murray, Jae Crowder, Domas, De'Aaron Fox, and Keegan Ellis, and Malik Monk's still the 6th man, but then they had to run Isaac. It's crazy that Isaac Jones, who, don't get me wrong, I love Isaac Jones. Met him in Portsmouth, followed him through the pre-draft. Think the guy's going to be a great long-term role player, can jump out the gym. But it's wild that Kevin Huerter is now getting 14 minutes a night. And they have Doug McDermott. They're not been really playing him, but he's a guy that I think having Jae Crowder there is already going to start to lead to some results like we saw tonight. And I want to hear your guys' opinions. Do you guys agree with me? Or is that just a bit overzealous? And they're, I think, trying to show people that they're legit in terms of being a playoff squad. So with that, that's it. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. The rest of this video is going to be what we talked about the other day. So just going to edit that in. I'm trying to see if we can pull up any Crowder numbers. They haven't updated yet. I wanted to see if they had added them, but it doesn't seem, it's too early to have those numbers out there. But I just wanted to see what that looked like. And, you know, it's not that big of a deal. So I'll just leave this where we're at. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Do you guys agree with me? I think looking at this, you have Jae Crowder and a team like the Kings potentially having the forward position finally answer. I think they're a team that's going to still look at, you know, a trade. But if Jae Crowder can be a guy for them, then they don't have to go and waste their time for Kyle Kuzma, even though I think Kyle Kuzma sucks this year and they might be able to get him cheaper than they would have last year. I don't think Kyle Kuzma is going to be their PJ Washington, nor do I think that's the position of need. I think they're fine with their forwards if Keegan Murray, DeMar, and Jae Crowder and Trey Lyles is that forward rotation. I realistically, I don't know. They've never really cared to have a legit backup center with Domas there, so I would say a rim protector, but again, they had Neemias Queta, and he's a great rim protector, and the Celtics love him, and they got rid of him. So they seem content with Alex Len. And to follow that up, I think Devin Carter being gone, like I was talking with the touchback, is a guy that I think has Derek White potential, and I know he's a rookie. At this point, I would love for this team to try to find like an Anthony Simons or and I know they have Malik Monk already coming off the bench, so maybe not an Anthony Simons, maybe a swingman, just another guy off the, a starting shooting guard. Somebody, because they already have a guy off the bench at Malik Monk, so I guess Kevin Huerter should be the starting shooting guard. So a starting swingman, a guy who can play the 2 or the 3 next to DeMar and Keegan and De'Aaron. And if you guys haven't been following This is an interesting year for the Kings. Obviously, De'Aaron Fox is going crazy in terms of his production, and he's a guy who looks like he's on a mission. This is a Kings team that currently, injury-wise, if you guys haven't been keeping out, DeRozan's out against the Timberwolves due to a back injury. Trey Lyle is out for the next 3 to 4 weeks due to a calf strain, and we know Isaiah Crawford and Mason Jones, who are two guys on two ways, are also currently dealing with injuries. So as we look at this current team, I really do think that looking at how the Sacramento Kings have added Jae Crowder, I think this is them looking at some immediate needs and also addressing something that's going to help them get better by bringing in veteran experience with Jae Crowder to help stabilize the roster, give them multiple positional needs now being addressed by bringing in Jae Crowder. Yes, this is a guy who has career averages of 9 points, 4 rebounds, and has the reputation of being a decent, perimeter defender who has some toughness. And last year with the Bucks, through 50 games, 23 minutes a night, he did put up 6 points, 3 rebounds a game. And he has played in finals for the Miami Heat and the Phoenix Suns. So granted, he hasn't won one, but he's been able to show that he can be a guy who is a part of championship teams with championship aspirations, and doesn't have to be a big part of it. He's 6'6" with a 6'9" wingspan. Yeah, he's 34 years old, and this past season with the Bucks, he had joined after being with them the year before, but he was a guy who shot 34% last year from 3, which was down for his career high. Either way, I think he still can be a decent floor spacer, as he did shoot a modest about 34% from 3. So he's had has had better seasons, but he's going to bring some spacing, especially with Sabonis playing in the paint. He's going to be able to play off DeMar. He's going to be able to play off Keegan Murray, and his physicality and versatility is going to allow this team that is currently ranked 18th in opponent points per game with 113.8 to help them out, as well as being a free throw percentage team that is shooting 32.8% from the free throw line, which is 3rd worst in the NBA, and they are the 4th worst. They are the 5th worst opponent 3-point percentage with 38%. So those are areas that Jae Crowder is going to help, especially with Trey Lyles being absent due to that calf strain. He's going to bring some depth behind Keegan Murray and DeMar DeRozan, and this is going to be a guy who's going to seamlessly fit into this Kings offense, as it's led currently with De'Aaron Fox averaging about 28 points. Then you got the double-double machine himself with Sabonis averaging 20 and 13, and with Mike Brown, who emphasizes a high-paced swing offense with a lot of efficient ball movement that leverages Fox speed in transition and DeMar DeRozan's and Sabonis's playmaking, especially in the half court. It'll allow Jae Crowder to thrive in the structured team first system that's probably going to have him sit in the corner a lot. And with Mike Brown having been a defensive coordinator for the Golden State Warriors, his acumen is going to allow Jae Crowder to play into his gritty style of play and embrace this cultural defensive need that they need, as well as allow to relieve some of this pressure that Keegan Murray's had, as he's been shouldering excessive defensive responsibilities. And we know Malik Monk and Kevin Huerter aren't the best defenders, but he's going to also help them out with some of those defensive rotations while also, being an okay 3-point shooter. So this is a team that's currently ranked 21st in net rating with a plus 0.3. So I think bringing in a guy like that going to address that 3-point shooting that they need. Plus having playmakers like Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox both averaging 6 assists a game, and then also DeMar DeRozan being a decent playmaker going to help them out. Plus they're ranked 14th in steals per game with 8 per game. That's going to help them be able to have a guy who's going to be able to guard multiple positions, small forwards, power forwards, and maybe even some swing man and swing bigs, while also giving another rebounder at the forward position, who Keegan Murray's averaging 8 rebounds a night, but he doesn't really have that much health. Both of them are more perimeter-oriented guys with DeMar and Keegan there, so having Jae, who can play more of a forward position, as this team is middle of the pack in terms of team rebounds, with 13th being their ranking, about 43 rebounds a game, and Crowder being about a 4 rebounds per game guy. He's going to be able to help him. And I know some people are going to be like, well, this is a guy who only had 3 rebounds last year. If you looked at what he did last year for the Bucks, it wasn't great. But either way, I think, for a guy who's been to the NBA Finals in 2020 and 2021, he's going to help a Mike Brown-led team have a better defensive effort, have a guy who's going to help build this collective defensive identity through effort and versatility, providing that physical
intensity that they need on the defensive end, being able to switch and cover multiple positions. He's been known as a strong, worker, good leader, and they're currently 4th in field goal attempts per game with 87, 11th, 87 attempts per game, and 11th in points per game with 114. So Crowder's ability on offense to stretch the floor as a catch and shoot guy who doesn't really need the ball is going to help them out, as well as a guy who can set screens, play off ball, set, flare screens to open up driving lanes for De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk, or even set up, 3-point shots for guys like Keegan Murray and Kevin Huerter.